Unity, intended to be a unique experience from many other church experiences, church traditions, fundamentalism. Unity was meant to concentrate on the one assignment that each of us has been given. And that assignment, as I speak it, is the transformation of the mind. All about the transforming of our belief system, transforming our mind. It was called What's Inside Counts. Unity, when I came into the field back in the early 70s, concentrated all of its teaching on the transformation of the mind, taking on the mind of Christ, sharing the mind of Christ along with Jesus, coming to know that you are a child of God and that all is well, coming to really believe, to know that you know that you know, that the peace song is your song, and that that's your prayer. That the prayer for protection is the way to pray. That God contact, that heightens the connection with God mind, is the way to go. Unity did not want to increase our connection with the drama, melodrama, and psychodrama of the surround, of what's happening out there, what people are doing. It insisted that we remember that our power and our freedom lies not in the transformation of the world, but in the transformation of the mind. Marianne Williamson said that spending your time and your effort and your mind energy on wanting the world to change, wanting world leaders to do things differently, wanting your neighbors to do things differently, wanting your children to do things differently. She called trying to change anything out there tantamount to rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, hoping it doesn't sink. Unity knows that it is our tendency to focus our attention on the world. It is our tendency to judge the world and the people in the world. Our tendency to want something to change. Our tendency to argue against the polar field, the polarity field that we are existing in physical reality. Unity's intention was that we remember we are spirit and not give in to the so convincing evidence that we are the body. So Marianne Williamson calls trying to change anything but your mind tantamount to rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, thinking that will stop it from sinking. Our desire and our prayers for a change in conditions and circumstances, Jesus calls signs and wonders. A Course in Miracles calls magic making. So many of our prayers these days in unity spaces are not operating according to the original intent. In the 70s and in the 80s, I went to so many Unity churches all over the country. Johnny Earl and I were in a very sought after music ministry and were invited to Unity churches all over this country, through Canada and the islands. And in those days, no detailed prayer requests were allowed. Prayer requests in those days at the Unity churches were, I'm asking your prayers, brothers and sisters, that I stay true to living the principles. I'm asking for your prayers that I operate in principle number 5, which says that knowing and understanding is not enough. Pray that I live it. Another prayer request that was allowed at that time. Help me to know that I am protected by the prayer for protection. Help me to live out the peace song, because I've been noticing that it has sometimes not been easy for me to believe in their truth. The responses were always pretty much the same to anyone's prayer requests for mind transformation. It was, we are grateful to know, individually and collectively, that everything is unfolding according to divine order and divine orchestration. We are grateful to know that God is and all is well. The danger in stepping outside of the original intent of Unity's way of praying is that what we tend to do is we concentrate on a desire not so much for the transformation of our own mind, but for a transformation in conditions and circumstances and manifestations. We will speak into our brothers and sisters our own fear, our own struggle. You know, if I have a disorder happening in my digestive system and I know about it, that's one thing. That's a strong enough belief. When I share it with you all, I no longer just have a disorder in my digestive system. Now you have my disorder in my digestive system. Everything is an idea, and ideas are increased when they are given away. We have a tendency to ask God to change the very system in which we operate, to change the law of physical reality, to change the field. We argue against the field. It has been said of this field, which is a field of opposites, a field of polarity. We have been clearly told about this field of living life on planet Earth that it is a field of seasons. To everything, there is a season. There is a time to live and a time to die. There is a time to be well and a time to be sick. There is a time for plenty and a time for the appearance of lack and limitation. There is a time to dance and there is a time to mourn. This is the system. We argue against the parts of the system that we do not like. I love the part about a time to be well. I hate the part about a time to be sick. I hate the part about a time for lack or limitation, but I love the part for abundance. Wow, I get off on the dance part, but why does there have to be the mourning and sorrow part? And my biggest issue of all, I love that there is a season and a time to live, but I am broken by the fact that there is a time to die. I'm arguing against the system. And so many of my prayers are against the system. I don't want death. I don't want struggle. I don't want dis-ease. I want everything to be hunky-dory all the time for me and all of my loved ones, everyone I care about. I want nothing but blessings, clear in your face blessings. I want all ups and no downs. I want all happy and no sad. I want a comfort zone. I've told you before that people in the heating and air conditioning business, in that industry, there's a dial. The dial turns up the air conditioning or it turns up the heat, whichever you want. There's one place on that dial. It's right at 72 degrees. It's called the comfort zone. At 72 degrees, the heater doesn't have to work, nor does the air conditioner. Everything is at rest. Nothing needing to do. I'm in the comfort zone, baby. There's another name for the comfort zone. It's called the dead zone. The dead zone. No activity. Nothing to do. No work to be done. I'm in the comfort zone. I'm in the comfort zone. If only I could stay here. If I was God, I'd stay here. There is no growth possible in the comfort zone. And no comfort zones were meant to be our permanent residence. I learned something in my first year of college about homeostatic balance and imbalance. The professor said that it is our desire and our heartfelt prayer to always be in a state of homeostatic balance. That's the comfort zone. Everything is okay. No challenges on my screen. No ickiness anywhere. But our professor said that it is impossible for us to remain in a state of homeostatic balance forever. You'll be in that state, he said, when you're dead, but not while you have breath in your lungs, not while you're alive in the world. You must have moments of homeostatic imbalance. It is in our moments of homeostatic imbalance that we stretch and we learn and we grow. We stretch and we learn and we grow, not in the comfort zone. That just is a rest period. That's a recess before you get back to class. Before there's more work to do, more stretching to do, more growth to attain. It's the field. To everything, there's a season. One that I didn't mention that I'll mention now. It has the audacity to inform me that there is a time for peace and a time for war. Who came up with that? If God came up with that, I need to let God know that I could have come up with something better. Why a time for war? Because it is a field of opposites. You know what peace is when you know what war is. I know I am at peace today because I know I'm not at war today. It is the human tendency, and I have certainly done my part in it during the days of my life, to wage war with the people who are waging war. Boy, did I have fun during the years of the Vietnam War, waging war with the military machine of the United States of America, who, according to my opinion, were crazy lunatics, greedy goats, killing little brown people in huts halfway around the world. Oh, I waged war with those waging war. Maybe I'm the only one on this Zoom who's ever done that. I have refused to love some people who weren't loving. Refused to care about people who didn't care about people. And I sat in my living room, filled with self-righteous indignation, sitting high and judging low. And I can't tell you how many times in the midst of those moments, I heard a whispered voice saying, "Mind your own business." Because your mind is your own business. Your mind is your only business. Mind it. Mind your own business. Withdraw your attention from they, him, her, and put it on the transformation of your mind. What I've noticed in myself sometime and in my brothers and sisters is that our prayer requests are not about the transformation of our minds. Once more, so many of our prayers are change the condition, change the circumstance. This, that, or the other are going on with me in my physical body. There is the appearance of disease. And sometimes we detail it so vividly that it increases drama. It does not lend to peace. I've noticed in some churches that one prayer request will be followed by one that outdoes it in the horrificness of the situation. She not only is dying, but her husband left her, and the dog got run over. And she has no home to go to when she gets out of the hospital. Her landlord sold the building that she lived in. And the more these sharings come, the more we get into a, oh no, wow, oh God. Pray for a change in circumstance in her body. Let the disease leave. Pray for a change in the circumstances of her housing. Let the landlord change her mind, or let a new place open. Oh, pray that he gets a car because the other one got totaled. Pray they find a new puppy. Unity in the beginning knew these things would happen. And so in the beginning, it made no room to allow for such things. Bring no trauma. Bring no bad news. Bring a request that you continue on the path of the transformation of your mind. Bring that request. Because to change your life, you must change your mind. We do not all live in the same world. Each of us lives in the world of our own experience, in the world of our own judgment. And it all begins in the mind. And so a request was made of me that I would touch on this base this morning to just remind us of Unity's intention. It was not for us to bring the stories of our pain and share them with one another and be saddened in the listening and to agree that something is going wrong and to pray for a condition or a circumstance to change. And so I'm reminding each of us, including myself, of the original intention. I am having a challenge, holding fast to the principles of truth. Pray my strength in holding to them. I forget sometimes that I create my experiences by the activity of my thinking and find myself invoicing others for being at cause of my sadness. Pray that I hold fast to my principles. And the answer would be, as I said before, we are so grateful that individually and collectively we know that the principles are the truth. We are so grateful to know that in your life and in my life and in all of our lives, divine right order is unfolding as it always has and always will. We are grateful to know God is, and all is well. Everything is an idea. Ideas are increased when they are given away. Listen, we are growing in knowing. I said in the meditation, it's not the truth will set you free. It's you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Pray to know. In times of peace and in times of war, pray to know God is and all is well. In times of abundance and in times of lack or limitation, pray to know God is and all is well. In times of at ease and in moments of dis-ease, pray to know God is and all is well. Enough of the prayers that serve to rearrange the deck chairs on the Titanic, hoping it won't sink. Prayers for them to change, her to change, him to change, the very system to change. One thing I think about is, even if I hate winter, it's coming anyway. I can hate it all I want, but it's one of the seasons in New England. I can hate snow, but check it out. It's coming anyway. To everything, there's a season. I like the prayer made by the man who approached Jesus and said, "My son is not at ease in his mind. There's something going on where he will throw himself into the fire. He will throw himself into the river. He has these fits." And Jesus says, "Do you believe?" And the stark, naked honesty of this guy's answer tickles me. He said, "Lord, I believe. Help thou my unbelief." We're a mix of belief and unbelief. I love praying that prayer myself. When I find myself slipping into an experience of fear or doubt, a disconnection from my pep in my step, a disconnection from my knowing God is and all is well, I love to throw my head back, put my hands on my heart, and say, God is, and all is well. Lord, I believe. Help you my unbelief. And God says, Hooah, heard, understood, and acknowledged. Be you transformed by the renewing of your mind, because you will never be transformed without a renewing of your mind. Let us share the power of God and not the levels of intensity of the story of our pain. For the glory of God and for the good of all. Amen.